So in today's video, we're gonna tell you about our best kept secret within our flipping business that has allowed us to scale to new heights.
And I know what you're thinking, but you're probably wrong. It's not some secret magical marketing, it's not some complex formula, and it's not some amazing lender who allows us to come out of pocket $0. What it is our construction manager.
So today we want to introduce you to our project manager and construction manager, Travis. Travis, we hired about a year ago, and he's really given us the ability to scale our business 4x in the last year.
How you doing, guys? Yeah, I'm Travis, project manager for the Boeckle Brothers. I've been working for almost, a year now.
Time flies, right?
Yeah,
Time flies. We've been really busy. Yeah, we've done, I think, over 80 houses this year alone. So yeah, I just overlook all the properties on a day-to-day basis, from just managing the construction or the GCs and overlooking, the ins and outs of flipping a house, basically.
It's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work.
And we kind of threw you in the fire with it too. So you picked it up really fast. I mean, to go from 0 to 80 flips in a year, we did a damn good job this year, man.
Man, it's been, we've been foot on the gas, that's for sure. So I had to pick it up pretty quick. Obviously the workload has, was pretty heavy at first. I can't imagine how these guys did it without me, to be honest. But obviously they were able to grow as much as they have now, which is amazing. So hopefully you just keep it going, keep the ball rolling, right?
Yeah.
I think you touched on something too. You're a really bright guy, and you did pick it up really fast. But I think you were primed to do that. You know what I mean? So can you tell them a little bit about your experience, your level of experience? Because we searched for a very long time to find the unicorn person who would be the perfect project manager, and we had no idea it would end up looking like you.
Well, I appreciate that. Well, I mean, as far as my background, I've always been a pretty handy guy, and I actually I did a little bit of construction through my life, but I actually came from, honestly, the industry as a busser. And when the pandemic happened, honestly, I was kind of just looking for another avenue. So I just kind of picked up the next best thing that I knew I could do, which is work with my hands, and started honestly working on a couple friends' houses, doing
That's
the cool part. Is you're doing some shiplap walls and some custom work at some of our friends' houses, and I kept seeing it on Instagram. And people were posting you on Instagram. I was like, well, this is the perfect time to reach out to someone because we've been looking for a project manager. So, timing really fell into place there with that.
For sure. And to be honest, I learned a lot of stuff that I did that on YouTube. So you guys all came to the right place if you want to learn some valuable information. Absolutely. YouTube education. So yeah, I started just picking up some jobs from their friends, and then things kind of just ended up escalating from there.
Yeah, so we know how tough it is managing these jobs. If you're watching this, you're probably wondering, how are we managing 15 to 20 jobs at a time? That's a lot of jobs. Of course, we've scaled up to that point. We didn't start there. Jesse and I typically used to have 5 to 6 properties at a time, but since we brought in Travis as the project manager, we're averaging 17 to 22 flips in construction at any given time. So that's how we've been able to scale.
Yeah, and to go along with that, I kind of broke it down in some key points that I kind of want to just go over. First one would be speed. Obviously, time is money. The more we crank out, the more we can do it by the end of the year. So going along with speed, within the first 48 hours of even locking up a property, try to get that bid first off within our due diligence.
Meet the contractor.
Get a design plan set up, and then just obviously holding them to a time frame. That is, I think, the most crucial thing when it comes to this as well.
Yeah, I think that's a great system that we put into place. So just to reiterate that, when we lock up a property, Travis is immediately meeting the contractor at the property to get an estimate. So we have all of our numbers within 48 to 72 hours of putting that property in contract. That's a really good system that we put in place.
Absolutely. And to kind of go along with that is quality. When it comes to flipping, a lot of people, have maybe a bad taste in their mouth because, they think it's just putting lipstick on a pig type of thing. But I kind of just always view every flip as being a first-time home buyer. I go in there and, I look at everything to a T. And to go along with that is just blue taping, doing a final punch list. We have an inspector that goes out and that will find any little leaks or anything major as far as AC, so we can at least find those before it goes out to the market.
Yeah, I mean, quality is an issue when it comes to flip homes. That's something that I think there's a negative stigma out there. And so I wanted to ask you, this is something I'm just thinking of now, if you found out we were like lipstick on a pig, cutting corners, like doing all the classic terrible flip guy stuff, would you have still wanted to work for us?
I mean, I'm not a half-ass kind of guy, so honestly, being somebody that does it myself, that's not something I would want to be a part of. You know what I mean? So, absolutely not.
That's definitely something that we're not like trying to. We're definitely something we're trying to push away, not fall like victim to that stigma.
Yeah.
So we over upgrade properties. We like make them super, super nice. We probably do things a little bit nicer than normal, nicer than a lot of other flippers might do.
Yeah.
And so we're trying to uphold that. So quality is one of the most important things for us.
And honestly, obviously using a licensed, bonded, insured GC, you know, that's
very important for us to do.
You know, there's a lot of people that will, you know, hire anybody that's not licensed, and you know that can come back and, you know, bite them in the butt for sure. So.
Yeah, so for everyone watching out there, going back to the first point of speed, breaking down the three, let's break down the three categories a little bit deeper and dive into them. Speed, quality, and then I think, you know, budgeting is also important, so we could talk about that as well. When it comes to the speed, you know, we're getting jobs done within 30 to 45 days. You know, tell everyone how we stick within that realm of the timeline.
Honestly, just being on top of them. Like, honestly, just like I said, walking the properties, seeing where they're at a certain, you know, if they're within a week or two and the demo hasn't been done, you know, demo should only take, you know, a couple days. You know what I mean? So just holding them to that, staying on top of them, and then it kind of leads into my other thing about just good communication. Like, I talk to these GCs multiple times a day, so having great communication with them, make sure everybody's on the same page, I think is very crucial. Very crucial.
One thing I want to say is all of these topics and all these tips, whether it's speed, good communication, and quality, they totally apply whether you're flipping only one property or whether you're flipping 20 properties at a time. So make sure you subscribe, like, and share this video so this can go to everyone who is maybe just getting started on their first property or somebody who needs to hear this that's very experienced doing a lot.
Absolutely.
That's right, man. So, you know, you're talking a lot about communication. How many times a week are you checking in on the properties?
Like I said, at least a couple times a week. You know, we're doing some pretty big properties, so
big custom stuff.
Yeah, the big luxuries.
You know, I mean, obviously we're doing stuff from the small townhomes to big luxury, and that takes a whole lot more time on the big luxury side. So, you know, a couple of days a week is probably minimum. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and you're also meeting with not only the general contractors, but you're also coordinating and scheduling the maintenance guys too, because there's nothing like buying a property, no landscaper shows up and all the landscape dies, and now you have to redo an entire yard versus just maintaining your yard. So keeping up with the landscapers and the pool guys, you know, how challenging has that been?
Well, that kind of goes to my last thing, organization. You know what I mean? That was probably one of the biggest things that I needed to tackle, because I probably wasn't the most organized guy coming into this job, as my girlfriend would say. But I mean, I made a system for myself that works for me. So I started with, you know, spreadsheets, and I just kind of built on them over the last year, just kind of, you know, tuned them to what works for me. So honestly, spreadsheets and reminders. You know, I'm setting appointments with a lot of people at one time, so reminders is like super helpful. But yeah, I mean, I schedule, you know, staging, cleaners, photographers, landscapers, pool, you know, the list goes on. So being well organized, especially when it comes to invoicing, and we do draws for our lenders, you know, you have to be on top of that. So organization, key aspect.
I think that's also something we had like a hard time handing over the keys. Let's be honest. Like, you always think that you're going to do something the best, and to give it to somebody else, at least we were always worried that it's just not going to be done to like the same level that we really want it to be done as if we were doing it.
Yeah, I mean, we have a lot of money out. You know,
do.
It's our money out of our pockets, and it's hard to let someone else take control of that.
It's a big investment. So one thing that was hard for us, but that we did, and maybe you could speak to this a little bit, is we didn't come in and like set up every rule A to Z. You must do this, follow this, stay organized this way. We kind of gave you a little bit of freedom to do that.
You did, yeah. And honestly, I felt the pressure. Like, obviously, you guys have millions of dollars out that you're relying on me to do. I mean, you don't even go to any of the properties, most of them. So for you just to see the photos at the end of the day and say, hey, this looks great, really, really makes me feel good. You know what I mean? And it is a lot of pressure, but yeah, dude,
it makes us feel good too, because when you don't see properties, we used to walk every property. We used to manage the construction on every property. So to not have to walk them anymore, and for them to turn out the way that they're turning out nowadays, it's awesome for the entire team.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a lot of work, and it gets stressful, and there's a lot of headaches, and obviously shit goes wrong. Yeah. But that's okay, because you're always in the mind frame of wanting to do more.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yep, absolutely.
I think that's something important, whether you're looking to hire someone, bring someone on, you feel invested in our success.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because the more we do, the more you make.
Absolutely, 100%.
So we're all aligned in our goals. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
We are. It's much more built as a partnership than it is as an employer-employee relationship. And that's just how we run our business. Is we want everyone to feel like we're partners within the business. So we hope you do feel that way with us, because we've grown so much in the last year, and we have such a long runway because of the systems that we put together by bringing someone like you on. So
we're just getting started.
It's been fantastic. We are.
Let me take this opportunity just to say, there were some key points that you mentioned, the speed, the quality stuff. But if somebody's out there right now, maybe construction managing themselves, any tips or things you want to give them, things to look out for, be aware of, to do, to not to do? This is your chance.
Well, honestly, walking the properties with a GC in the beginning and really taking a look at all the moving parts. I mean, we've dealt with a lot of properties with plumbing, which is one thing that a lot of people, when they go look at a property, probably don't think of. But do your due diligence is key, because once you buy the property and stuff like that comes up, it could go into your profits. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Or go into the negative, which has happened. So I mean, that is probably one of the key things is do your due diligence. Be organized, and just have great communication. Get a good relationship with your GC, because he's going to be your new best friend. And they might try to cut corners, but if you're just due diligent and there every a couple times a week, things won't be slipped through the cracks. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah. So going back to the first point, what are the top 5 major items that you look for when you initially walk the property?
First thing, obviously, leaks. I mean, that's
water
pretty
damage,
apparent. Water damage,
roof leaks.
Yes, broken tiles, stuff like that. But yeah, obviously leaks. In Vegas, we don't have too much rain, so that might not be something. But AC units, at least it's a hard thing to check when you first just look at a house for the first hour or so. But checking the units, see how old they are.
I mean, overall, you got to like the house too.
Yeah, 100%.
Like, we've walked into homes before and just been, couldn't even make sense of the house.
Yeah,
like,
exactly. The layout.
Exactly.
Whether you can open up walls to make a bigger layout, that is huge. I know we've probably had some videos of breaking into the drywall to see if you can take a wall down.
Taking a peek.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's huge. And just making sense if that's going to be the house that'll fit that community. You know what I mean? That you're going to be selling in, and your comps, obviously.
Yeah, a lot of people ask us, on social media or out when we're, in person, when we're at events, how do you guys manage 17 to 25 properties at a time with one contractor? And I always tell them we have multiple contractors.
Yep.
So for those wondering, we do manage and hire 3 or 4 contractors at any given time to work on our properties.
Yeah.
So what's our best way? I know we're in the process of always hiring. What are we doing to hire contractors?
Well, I mean, social media, just reaching out that way.
Okay.
That's worked well.
Yeah, cold calling. They have the list of contractors that are licensed. Cold calling, and just word of mouth. I mean, honestly, that's probably one of the biggest things when it comes into this, this business is word of mouth, and who's everybody using, and that their quality and stuff like that will spread pretty fast,
right.
if they're not doing well, or they're slow, or they're being shady, you know what I mean? So yeah, that's one of the biggest things when you're trying to find somebody.
Yeah, so I know that we've dealt with contractor, not issues, but there's always something that's happening with contractors. So my biggest tip, at least over the last 5 years of flipping and a couple hundred homes, is have yourself multiple contractors in your Rolodex to call on for properties, because we've had contractors that are doing incredible at one point and then just a short time thereafter, something happens either personally or business-wise where they fall apart on us, and then we're stuck with properties that we want to buy and just can't. So our biggest thing that we're working on right now actively is having more contractors in our Rolodex to be able to call on.
Absolutely, because a lot of contractors, they won't say no. You know what I mean? They'll always say yes to the next job, but then they get overloaded, and then you're looking at your job, why is it taking double the time? So, I mean, that's one thing to definitely look into. Have multiple
having
contractors.
multiple.
Yes,
having multiple. Also, don't be afraid to do that if you're just starting. Because a lot of people may just be looking at their first flip, you know, hiring their first contractor and doing that. And one piece of advice I want to give them is even when we vet a new general contractor, even though we have a lot of others, we bid multiple times. And so you got to go out there and bid it with a new contractor, get your prices back, go do it again with another one. At least 2, hopefully 3 times. Because what does that do for somebody?
Well, it gives you an idea how what your budget is. If you could, you know, use this contractor for this amount of square foot or this one, but then that comes down to quality, speed, and price. So it kind of all plays into part of what you're trying to do for that, you know, particular property.
If you just get one, you're going to look at those prices and just assume, well, that's what things cost.
You're hostage to that
totally.
one bid.
But if you get 3 and you can compare all the flooring bids from the 3 guys and all the paint bids, you can kind of get a better sense of okay, this is the average. This is what this should cost. This guy's on the higher end. This guy's on the lower end. You know, I can kind of get a gauge now of what things should cost versus just having that one number and not knowing what to do with it.
It gives you not only a choice of who to utilize at that time, but it also gives you a little bit of an edge to be able to negotiate them against each other. Because look, they want the jobs, right? That's clear. They do want the jobs because that's how they survive. That's how their business survives. So being able to negotiate them against each other, you know, not in you want to be very cordial with the negotiations, but to be able to say, well, this guy's way under you, it may put one of them more in line than they were going to be in the first place. So it gives you a little bit of a competitive edge as well, having multiple contractors. So I know you're probably wondering, when is the right time to bring in a project manager like Travis? And I gotta say, we brought Travis in a little too late within our business. I wish we would have brought him in a little bit earlier.
You live and you learn.
You know, you live and you learn. He's really been able to excel our business over the last year, really to 3 or 4 times the amount of volume we were doing before. So even if you're doing 2 or 3 properties at a time right now, think about hiring a project manager or partnering with a project manager, because it gives you the ability to step aside from the labor-intensive construction management to look for more and better deals.
Right. Guys, we're giving you advice on how to hire them, why to hire them, and then once you do, how to make sure that they're effective and they're making sure that your jobs are on time, on budget, the quality is there, the communication is there. So we dropped a ton of construction management knowledge here in this video. Of course, this is one of our most requested questions and topics. So if you have any more questions, drop a comment below and we'll get back to you. But until then, we'll see you on the flip side.